Hello.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of Uninformed, where we, the uninformed and uneducated, talk about nonsense, random things that just kind of push people's buttons, taboo topics that we should not be talking about, mostly because none of us are experts in any of these fields, and our opinions really don't fucking matter in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, don't expect to necessarily learn.
So that is it's like, will I be informed or uninformed after watching this? You'll be sleepy.
You'll be fully formed.
You'll be confused.
Yes.
Angry.
You've been opinionized. Is that a word?
Ooh,
let's make it a word.
Opinionized. Yes, I've been opinionized.
It's important to note at the beginning of the show that we are not responsible for your psychological disorders after our fighting and arguing over
or breakdowns.
Yes.
Nobody cares, Tony.
Yeah. And quite honestly, if one of us traumatizes you in some way, welcome to the club.
Yeah, good. We traumatize each other every day.
Every day. I literally left a conversation.
Do.
I literally left a conversation and said, I'm going to leave now so you guys can talk shit about how mean I am. And then I just closed my computer.
She said that on Tuesday.
You was pretty mean.
I was really mean.
You were really mean.
I just sometimes I need answers and I don't have time for nonsense. And so I get a little mean.
You gave me 8 seconds to...
Yes, exactly. I don't have time for more than that.
Something and was like, I need a yes or a no. Yes or I know.
Tell me now. I don't have time for any of this. Yeah. But this is why everyone at work calls me a bitch. But you know what? They keep paying me and I keep showing up. So
what a dumbass.
Which is the exact opposite of here, where we don't get paid, but we keep showing up.
We keep showing up.
we still show up. I take an hour out of my normal job just to do this.
We all have Stockholm
syndrome. To be fair, you told
other.
You told your normal job, I'm so sorry, but during this time and this time, I'm busy and not around. Have a nice day. So they knew going into it.
So we are running out of topics in that bowl.
This bowl's plenty.
Well, there's enough.
We got plenty, but we always want stuff from the audience. So if you guys can email us, DM us.
Now. How about let's do that right now? Let's give you guys like a second to throw some topics. I'll write it in the bowl right now.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll wait for people to catch up since the lag, and while we're waiting for that, we'll say hello. Hello, Rex. It's so good to see you. Hello, Enzo. So nice to have you here. Hides in long grass as always. You're an angel. Lindsay. Hello, beautiful angel. Tommy. Hello, handsome. It's so good to see you. Sarah's here. Hi, Sarah. Bree's favorite person in the chat who we all now know is mostly Space. Danny's here. Hey, Danny, how are you? And welcome to the show is here. Welcome. Oh, and Simon Fly. We love Simon Fly.
We love Simon, but obviously Simon doesn't love me, so that's great to know.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I feel like Simon only really likes Spooky and not anybody else, aka Kari. And I wish you loved us all more equally because we love you.
It's surprising because I'm an asshole. So
I mean,
it's great.
I'm a bitch.
I'm here.
Being a bitch is my kink, I think.
I hate it.
I am just all around,
a Scorpio.
Unexplainable.
The person we're all afraid of.
Deep down, yeah. Truthfully. Y'all shaking our
I've never
boots.
been mean in my life. Okay. Tell me when.
I'm just
tell me when the receipts.
Okay, so anyone in the chat, you guys, if you guys will have a topic you guys want us to talk about today, go ahead and put it inside of the chat now, and Bree will put it on a paper right here, right now for you. So go ahead and put it in the chat
right now. Thank you.
I do want to take this moment while we are waiting for you guys to write your things down in here that next week we're not going to have any shows. Bree.
Not true.
Oh, what show?
Me and Tony are gonna.
Oh yeah, we're doing Star Trek.
Oh,
we're gonna do Star Trek on Thursday, but just Star Trek.
Okay, so they're gonna do a Star Trek show on Thursday, but our normal shows are not happening. We will not be having a Bobby's Cryptid Corner this week or a super serious science show because Bree is going on an adventure, and we will tell you guys more about it after said adventure.
We got one.
Why can't we just say?
Oh, it's like I don't know because you haven't told anyone, so I didn't know if you were like announcing it to the world. So I didn't want to like rat you out.
Is this mental health and ufology? Like Like
Together.
mental health in ufology? Okay.
Yeah, together. Ooh, they want remote viewing.
I'm going to see Taylor Swift.
Yes, Bree's coming to Vegas to see Taylor Swift.
Who?
Yeah.
Schmela Schmift.
I wish I was
No.
Sasquatching, although
Actually,
it
low-key, yeah.
would be freezing right now. Like summer would be perfect. I
It's
would
too cold
love
right now.
to mortgages. Real or the perception of corrupt millionaire corporations.
Yeah, put mortgages in there. That's a good one. I can go off on that.
Should I do that separate? Do you guys? No,
Oh,
I didn't
here-
drop $1,000.
I was like, here's the thing.
I
The
would
reason-
have.
Here's the thing. The reason she's coming is because they're free. And not only free, but the VIP treatment and a beautiful VIP suite we shall be in. Oh, and a limo ride there. I forgot. A limo ride there.
Cool.
Sorry, we do it fancy over here, but we didn't pay for it. It was free. It fell into our laps.
I would have spent that though. I mean, shit.
If
My
if Bree could have got tickets, she
my
would have
rolling
spent that on it.
rolling,
Yeah.
Rolling Loud. My fucking when we were young tickets were 5Gs and I didn't even get to
5Gs.
go.
To get to go, yeah. Yes, we're going as press, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Press.
We're like, hi,
Press,
we're
and
from
press.
the Toddy Wabbit network.
The biggest show on YouTube and daytime
Yeah.
television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
But hopefully me and Bree will also be doing some filming together while she is here. We had some ideas for especially this Uninformed show. So hopefully you guys will see some cool stuff because she'll be out here for a few
That'll
days.
be
All right.
so fun, your idea. Okay.
Let's
Wait, did I
pull
see
the first
something about
topic.
Depeche Mode? Oh my God, jealous. That's in Vegas too, right? I did see that they were doing
I
a
believe
show
it
in
is,
Vegas,
yeah.
and I was like, I want to go to that really bad. All right. Sometimes I feel like I only pull the
Jeff
ones that I
Wood.
put in that day. Oh, this is old. Current train crashes around United States and possibly other countries.
I mean, they're still going on.
Oldish. But there was one
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. There's
Oh,
more.
really?
Yeah.
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 Stop.
No, it doesn't
like-
stop.
No.
It's like
So,
a
I
Were they
think-
happening anyway, but now we're just paying more attention, or are they actually happening more?
So I think here's my personal opinion on it. I think what happened is that we live in a time, unfortunately, where a lot of things are being deregulated and a lot of laws are just kind of being thrown off the table and a lot more things are being allowed that wasn't allowed before. And I think what we're seeing is not maybe necessarily a giant conspiracy that a lot of people think, but I think what the problem is that we had the government got rid of a lot of laws around trains and the way that the safety of them is to be conducted. And because of that, we are now having a bunch of accidents. So I don't know if it's necessarily because like the government's trying to murder us all and like poison all our water or whatever, but I think it's more just a corrupt government who wants more money and they want to do things for cheaper. So they're, being very lax on their rules of how they're going about things safely. And because of that, we're having trains crash everywhere. It's affecting everything. You're seeing when policy is taken away, the exact effects of what happened and why those
That's
policies were put,
regulation.
why those regulations were put into effect in the first place.
You would think. So every time one of these big, like obviously when we put this in there was the East Palestine, Ohio issue had just happened and we put that in the bowl. You would think that these companies, especially when something like that happens, they become financially liable for the cleanup because the government's going to hold them, to it because the people are going to be pissed off. And you would think that the companies would say, weigh the risk to reward of like, do we not spend an extra minute or 2 minutes, inspecting these cars, or do we just let it go and say, fuck it, we'll pay a $10 billion fine to the government? Because that's the other problem is that's who they pay the fine to, is to the government. It's fuck
Like circle
the people.
jerk, yeah.
It doesn't help the people because they're paying the money to the government. They're not going door to door saying, well, there's 3,000 people that live in this town that we crashed our chemical train in and poisoned your water and killed all the animals and destroyed all your food. So we're not going to give you $100,000. We're going to give the government $8 billion, and then we'll just be fine.
But that's exactly why the town, I don't know if you guys heard this, but I'm sure everyone knows the story of Erin Brockovich. She lived in a town and they poisoned the water, blah, blah, blah. There's a movie about it. She actually showed up to where in Ohio where the first train derailment was, and they actually labeled her a terrorist and would not let her in. And they said, arrest her on sight if anyone sees her, because they were so terrified that she was going to go in and do the exact same thing that she did in her hometown that they actually barred her from going in.
Oh my goodness, that's awful.
Wasn't there like a movie that came out recently that was basically the same story in the same town?
Yes. And I don't remember the name of it. But what was funny is
it's called White Noise.
And people were talking about it, watching it film and all that kind of stuff, and then literally watching it come to life. Do you think that's a little bit of manifestation?
I don't know. It's one of those timing. It's one of those things that was timed so greatly that you're like, wait, was this planned? Did this, you know what I mean? I remember first hearing it and going, oh my God, it's just like the movie, because I had just finished the movie.
Well, Pete Buttigieg came out and said, well, there's 1,000 train derailments a year. Like, that isn't a fucking problem. And we just had this big whole infrastructure bill that was signed at an ungodly amount of money. People don't think about trains as much as they do like airports and highways and stuff like that. But over a third of all commerce is shipped on trains, and it's all fucking ignored.
Because it's the cheapest route to go.
Yeah. And you can have like a 3-mile long train move across the country at 80 miles an hour as opposed to 1,000 trucks. And it it's cheaper, but we ignore the rail system. We ignore that because we see it as like outdated and everything like that. So I think it is something that, unfortunately, private companies run the railroads. It's not run by the government anymore. It is regulated by the government, but it is not run by the government.
Wow.
Which is a problem because people don't know the chemicals that are flying through their towns at 40 miles an hour at, a mile-long train going through their town. It's something that really needs to be looked at, but it needs to be looked at in a way where we aren't making it more difficult to move things, but at the same time making it safer.
Regulations, but that won't necessarily slow it down.
And
but
regulations. We also have to be able to differentiate between a mechanical failure and incompetence. Because what happened in Ohio was a mechanical failure.
Yeah.
And you could say, well, if they had more time, but at the same time, do you go out and check the wheel bearings on your car or truck every time you go out? Or do you check your tires every time you go out?
Well,
you have a blowout If I
remember correctly too, part of it was, so there's actually a thermometer that reads the bearing temperature as the trains are driving every certain number of miles. And there was a point where the bearings were starting to heat up, and then by the time they got to that next one where it was already, it was going to derail is the next time it went off. And so I think the bigger problem is that the regulation stated that they didn't have to do anything about it, even though it was rising at that one temperature check-in. It was like, oh, well, it's not really at the inappropriate time yet, so there's nothing we can do. And then when they got to the next one then it was, oh my God, oh shit, we're fucked. And then bam is when it happened. Right. So it's there's so many things that, so many issues that went wrong inside of this.
And now, having been on ocean-faring vessels and out to sea and underway and everything, what we do is you do a check every single hour. There's an engineer who is checking all gauges, taking temperatures of coolant and everything else every single hour. If we notice a pattern, if we notice something's going up, something doesn't sound right or whatever, we check it at a higher interval. We check it more and more often. And then we make the decision whether or not we need to shut down an engine, whether or not we need to shut a system down. On trains, I think there's just 3 or 4 people on them, and they're just careening across the country, and there's
and the thing with that is it used to be double to triple the time, but again they keep cutting back on these regulations, and so now it's literally a skeleton crew of 2 to 3 people running upon this 3-mile train trying to make sure everything's working and everything's happening and everything's going okay, and like that's not a lot of people when you have them, going for hours and hours at a time and not having breaks and things like that. When you only have 3 people in charge of a giant train, I mean, there's bound to be an accident that happens.
Yeah, and the thing is, like with a train, you can't have people stationed throughout the train to monitor things. You have them in, the locomotive sections, and they just all kind of sit there together. So that could be something that could, again, cost comes into effect to build like an addition to each car or every so many cars to have a monitoring station where an engineer is that can communicate to the conductor. But my older brother, he retired from the Air Force, a long time ago. And since then he has worked for Union Pacific, the train company. And he was telling me last year, we were talking about how bad the working conditions are in the rail industry because they're so stingy and they're so quick to fire people, especially the first 2 or 3 years that they're working. If they get sick or if they need to take too much time off, if there's a family issue, they fire those motherfuckers so quick because there's somebody waiting for that job that pays $25, $30 an hour to come on. So they don't care. And they would rather fire somebody for the most minuscule reasons than keep experienced people on board because they can just rotate out and not pay benefits and not do that. So a lot of it is just the way the rail companies are structured as a strictly profit driven. We don't give a fuck about the people. We don't give a fuck about anything. It's a really big problem.
Oh, it sounds like it. When it first happened, it was the same week of the Chinese spy balloon. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know why my brain immediately went like, oh, this is a conspiracy. I was thinking about how, our train system is one of the biggest way we get any goods across the United States. If I was of a foreign country that is our adversary, someone that wants to disrupt United States, I would absolutely try to sneak something on that plane, try to derail it, and then should it goes up in the air. And could you imagine if that happened like all across the country all at once? You could just put some type of what do you call that? Chemical my brain's going
chemical attack?
Yeah. Like a bioweapon of some sort. I mean, to me, that would be a pretty smart idea because we're looking out for you in the sky.
Well, good thing China has TikTok on your phone because now they have a really good plan.
Oh, no.
They just heard it.
Everyone.
It felt a little bit when they tried to deny it, when they tried to say that it was gone, but there were still the satellite images and there were still the people that were just throwing simple rocks in the water, and you see that like
sizzle
chemical,
the rainbow
or the rain.
Chemical sheet.
Oh yeah, the puffy rain. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, hold on. We make movies about Chernobyl and we give Russia such a bad time for them covering up Chernobyl, and this could be the same type of situation. Like, why don't we learn from that? If we want to point the finger and be like, they weren't totally transparent with their people and people just died or people got hurt for no reason, then we should probably try to be just as decent, and like do that thing we said they should have done.
If you really want to blow your mind on a massive disaster to like the entire world, look at the Fukushima plant and look at NOAA's tracking of radioactive material all across the Pacific Ocean from when that earthquake happened that caused the meltdown, and how the Japanese government refused to acknowledge that there was a meltdown. for it was like a week or two, in that radioactive water that was used to cool the rods was being spilled into the ocean and with currents, and now they're finding those radioactive isotopes in fish all over the Pacific Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all your favorite fish. It's salmon, it's fucking sea bass, it's halibut, it is like every fucking wild fish.
It got put into their ecosystem, and now they've had to adapt to it, and it is a part of them now. Like it is everywhere. That's a big issue, I think, that we have with a lot of these big powerful things that these countries have, like nuclear reactors and bombs and all these things. At the end of the day, we do not know the long-term ramifications until the long-term shows up, and here we are. And then now we're seeing it. Like there's no way for us to test those things. Like they tested all these short term, like when they came to blowing up the atom bomb and stuff like that. But now 20 years later, we're learning, oh shit, okay, maybe we shouldn't have done this. And we've now permanently altered our environment by doing this.
Yeah.
Kari, I'd like to hear from you. I've heard plenty from the other
sorry. Yeah. We're passionate about this one.
We are.
I just want to hear any comments from
I just find
the other one.
I mean, someone mentioned in the comments, and you mentioned it was the same week as that balloon thing, which I found twinky-dinky. But I think the surge of kind of attention towards it is good in terms of highlighting the regulatory issues. But I think that maybe if this stuff was already happening, why now? I mean, the Ohio one was really bad, but now there's like this hyper fixation on all of the trains, and I mean, it's not inherently a bad thing, because if there's issues, then people should be talking about it. But I don't know. The tinfoil in me is like, what are they distracting from? Like, what are we missing? What's happening that we're not looking at? But that would be conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, we can't do that.
I'm not one of those people.
Well, at the beginning, though, they weren't giving it as much media attention, and there were a lot of people out there like, why is no one talking about this? But that was because it was the same time as the fucking Chinese spy balloon. So you had this like split in media that wants to be like, but wait, there's China, war, what's going on? And then it's like, well, people are like kind of dying over here. People are like, their eyes hurt, their throat hurt, and they're at their house like, oh, I got a headache real bad.
The fact that Biden refused to turn up was quite telling.
That was interesting.
It was like,
what is he gonna do?
Well,
it's stumble around.
But it's about appearances. It's about when you have something of that
it handed a huge political win to Trump and his.
He's not in the best of his health. What if he showed up and then like instantly died?
He went to Ukraine instead. I mean, that's not really like less dangerous, right?
If it's not good air quality, that man, I mean, I feel like they keep him in like some type of
like a bubble or something, hyperbolic chamber.
Yeah, they just keep him in the best condition, and then they have to like heat it back up, and then they're like, all right.
So I don't know if you guys have come to this conclusion, but for me personally, I've like lived in conspiracy land for a long time, and I've just decided that everything is really just about money at the end of the day. Like if you just look where the money's at, that's really what it is. It's literally just comes down to money and power, and it's not anything as fantastical as wild as I think a lot of us want to think, but it all just comes down to money and power, and that's really all it is.
Well, that's the only thing that really turns the world around.
Exactly. Yeah. Really.
So people would be really amazed if they realize just how incompetent the government is. Yeah, especially elected officials. I mean, these are their popularity.
George Santos, anyone?
Among like fucking all of them. How many times have we had, like in America, a politician who is actually competent and not a lawyer, seeking a way to just secure their family wealth and build their family wealth and grift to the people, to gaslight people? They all fucking do it. Every single one of them do it. They do it to stay in power, and they're just like, oh, well, we have to, for instance, they knew the Supreme Court decision was coming out on Roe v. Wade, and the Democrats had control of the House, the Senate, the freaking White House, and they're like, we have to codify Roe v. Wade. Okay, put the bill forward and shut the fuck up. Did they do that? No. Why didn't they do that? Because they can fucking run on it and continue to be reelected, because Republicans are the fucking worst when it comes to putting a message forward. Because if they had any fucking sense, they would go, well, they were in power for 2 years, said they were going to put Roe v. Wade and codify it. Well, did they do that? No, but they had power. Why didn't they do that? Because they want to run on it.
They want a political. As much as it sucks, you're 100% true in that point. They did 100% could have changed that decision, decided not to do it, and instead are now using it as a platform to rerun on. And that's what it is at the end of the day. The government does not care about us. They only care about themselves and putting themselves first and forward.
Yep, and they just keep, every party is guilty of it.
Yep, every party.
And even though I am conservative-ish because I like guns, but I hate fucking politics, because it is nothing more than I want to be in charge and I like the power, and they all get super rich and they just fuck the middle class and the lower class over, and it's different depending on what party it is and how you fuck them over.
Boo. All right. I think we're ready for the next
only
topic.
comments. Kari, do you have any last minute words? Quiet one.
No, I think Tony's pretty spot on there.
I agree with him.
That was very non-Republican of you.
Very partisan.
It was. I was proud of that. Can we
surprised
clip that moment?
That was
we do.
To the center there. I'm proud of you.
I'll remind you
It was
of that
almost
when,
to the center, yeah.
Almost.
When I'm preparing for Nicole's many arguments with people. So
it's gonna be
Kari and Tony. So I'll be like,
debate.
hey, I heard Tony once say.
Mostly space, no.
I'm gonna spend like the whole. Like, she's like a poli-sci major, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be big debates.
Okay,
but that's fine. Whatever.
I added one in here, but I don't remember the fucking flight name, even though I still haven't even finished.
MH370.
Okay, so I put MH40 question mark.
Are you talking about the one that crashed in the ocean, or the ones the Russians shot down over Crimea?
I don't fucking know any of them. Pick one.
The one that I think she's talking about. Are you talking about the one with the Netflix thing that came out?
Okay, what is it, Brie?
This is one of my favorite topics ever.
Oh my god.
Police brutality.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
All cops are bastards. Fuck the police. Fuck anyone who works for the government. ACAB. That's all I gotta say about it. If you're a cop, you're a pig. Fuck off. I hate it. You're all bad. All of you lumped together, just like you lump groups of people together that you prosecute. You are all lumped together as shitty fucking assholes. Suck my dick.
Yeah, it's very difficult because I understand their purpose, and I know that there are good people that are police officers.
Sure.
I get your point, Jamie. Like, group them together. If they want to group other people together, then
they're grouped together too.
But I know that there are good people out there.
Yes.
The problem is that I've always been like a wrong doesn't make a right type of person. And so for me to see, like, even if they capture someone really bad,
if you're the police, fuck you.
Oops, sorry. Even if they capture someone really bad, I still don't agree with them, like, roughing them up. And I know that that's difficult, especially if they, like, let's just say they killed a child, right? But I feel that when
not the cops, the criminal.
Not the cops, the criminal.
Okay.
Even if they do something like that, obviously that's a tough position for someone to be in, because you feel personally personally very upset and emotional about that. And you want to be like, I'm going to kick this motherfucker's ass. But I feel that your job as a policeman is literally just to protect and deliver. And that's how you serve. And so I just don't agree with them kind of taking out their own aggression on, even if someone's bad. You know what I mean? And that's always been hard for me to watch. I know that's a different opinion than even my family. They're like, are you kidding me? So, like, if this happened and this happened, I'm like, but in order for me to see the police as neutral, which they should be, neutral as in, like, literally just delivering and protecting, not getting involved, not letting, you can't have the law in your hands, is how I feel.
I want to say to what you're saying too. I think my biggest problem with the police is like the police are supposed to be somebody that you can trust, that you call when you're in trouble or you need help with something, and that's not what it is anymore. And that's why I say fuck all cops. It's not that I think all of them are horrible people, and so don't worry, Danielle. I saw your comment. Like we don't think all cops are bad, but like what we mean is what I mean is like fuck all of them and lump them together is like what Bree was saying. They go out there into these marginalized communities and they lump people together and they talk about stereotypes and they harass certain groups of people. So if they're going to do that, how I'm going to personally deal with the police is lump them all together too, just like they do to everyone else in society. And that's how I view them. And I just don't trust cops. If I am ever in a situation where there's an issue, not once does it come across my mind to call the police. In fact, the opposite, to never call them, because there's just no point in having them around to me, because I don't feel like they fix situations or make anything better. I think all that cops do is escalate things and make things worse. And that's just been my experience and the experience of most people within the world, unfortunately. I'm sure that there are lots of people who have great, wonderful relationships with cops and all that wonderful things. But on the big global scale of things, it doesn't tip in a favorable way. It tips in a negative way.
Well, I've seen both sides of this because one, I used to live in a really shitty place where there was a lot of shootings and stuff, so cops were everywhere. And one night I went outside to smoke a cigarette and I was a bit inebriated. I think it was a weekend, but one of my former soldiers, his wife called the cops on him and said he was getting rough or whatever, and it absolutely they determined that's not what happened. She fucking lied. And I saw the cops over there and I saw him and I was like, hey, what's going on? So I'm easy on over there, and this dude is 6'3", 250 pounds, an absolute fucking unit. Or no, he's 6'5", he's 2 inches taller than me. So I'm 6'3", he's 6'5", and the cops that showed up were like 5'8".
Oh shit.
So I show up and I'm like, so this dude used to be my soldier. Can I help you guys out? Because if he starts getting upset, I don't want anything to happen, right? And I talk him down, and I'm sitting there with him for probably 2 hours talking him down and stuff. And everything ends up great.
You should have been a cop.
No. I joined the military because we're legally allowed to kill people.
Listen, you trafficked your body to the government. Call it what it is.
Oh, yes, I did.
That's true.
And they pay for it.
I was like, it is legal prostitution at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to put the military in here. I'm sorry, Tony.
But
that just sparked a button for her. She was like,
But being in a small town, I can say that the cops around here, every time, the buses come to and from the schools, they're there to watch over the kids and make sure that nothing happens. Not that there's very much or any crime where I live, but they still do it.
That's why.
But that's the difference between a place where there's a lot of crime and the cops are always on edge, and a place where there's not a lot of crime and they don't have to be worried about just randomly being shot at just because they're cops. I get the job sucks. And some people take the job because, they don't have anything else in life. They can become a cop or join the military.
There are a lot of bad apples. I think that there probably is more bad than good apples.
Well, and that's the problem is
positive people too, like people that take out their weird shit.
Well, I also think that you have an institute. Oh, it might not be okay. You have an institution that has made it so that they all protect each other. So even if they do bad things, they are protected. Like when you go to file a police, like a complaint about someone, you want to know where that shit goes? Absolutely nowhere. Do you think that they take it somewhere and do anything about it? No, they protect each other and they throw the shit in the trash and they move on with their life. So half the time, the bad apples aren't even being reported because there's no one to report them to because they're all just protecting each other. So it really is about a huge, giant overhaul. in general. And I think as shitty as this sounds, as much as I don't like the government, there needs to be some sort of an overhaul on policies when it comes to policing. And the only thing that can change that would be the government to put in laws and policies into effect to change those things. But just no one does that because it's not making anyone money. It's not putting anyone in power. So it's not a priority politically.
So money once again comes up, which is a really big problem where no city, state, county, or anything like that should rely on any type of monetary income from speeding tickets or traffic tickets or any type of ticket or court charge or anything like that to pay for their budget, because that incentivizes them being douchebags. And then there is the Supreme Court ruling that said that cops aren't there to protect, they're there to enforce the law, which is a really big fucking problem because they are there to protect. It literally says on the side of their cars, to protect and serve, not to rule and conquer.
Right.
But what are they protecting and serving? The institutional...
Well, that's
They're
what they do
supposed
now.
to be for the people. It's supposed to be you're protecting the people.
I think it becomes more about the institution.
Yeah, but it should be the community, not...
Feels like a big frat club.
So, you know, like I want to say it was like maybe a month ago that police footage came out of the police officers
15 minutes late, your chicken's ready.
Oh, damn it. The police cam footage that came out of the police officers beating that guy, right? And they also happened to be Black police officers. And it happened to be over the fact that that guy was sleeping with one of the guy's like ex-wives or something like that. Like that is the kind of corrupt things we're talking about. It's not just white police officers. It's not just like only the police officers in charge of things. This group of people who were police officers got together and decided to do this because their assumption was that they could get away with it because they were the police.
It also came out that the Memphis
video
police...
made me cry.
It also came out that Memphis police were hiring known gang members to be police officers, which is a huge fucking like red flag.
I was like, so one of the things is in order to be a police officer or even work in government levels like that, you have to go through things and they have to know certain things. Like you can't be a gambling addict. You can't have like a bunch of ex-wives because these are all things that people could use to manipulate you to do the law. And they used to hold those standards a lot stricter. And it seems that as time goes on that they're not holding those high standards when they're hiring people anymore because you're getting so many more corrupt people who can, you know, really be manipulated at these high levels.
Do you think that giving them a higher wage would solve a problem? Because I know that there is because I know that there is a problem that like they're not being paid enough and they're being looked bad at. So then it's sort of this like giving up thing. Like, well, they don't want my help. I'm not getting paid. Fuck it.
So, having been a Army recruiter, I will tell you, you can get a waiver for somebody who is a convicted murderer to get them into the Army. And the reason why they made those changes was because of the Iraq and Afghan war, the war on terror. I think it originally came about somewhere around 2004, 2006. But there's waivers for every fucking thing you can imagine.
Point of personal privilege. Wait. There's one right now where they're actually they're toying with the idea of giving inmates time off of their sentences if they donate organs to people in need.
Yep. They're
like, we'll take 5 years off your sentence if you give this lady one of your kidneys or whatever. Like 100%. That is really what's in the works currently inside of the prison world.
I am processed into basic training with a guy who was there because the judge told him you can go to jail or you can go to the military. And he said, well, I guess I'll join the military. Yeah. So he was obligated by law to join the military because that was his sentence.
Yep.
Oh, God. So there you go.
So now you see how different we are than Russia with their Wagner group of fucking inmates that are running around killing people in Ukraine.
Yep.
Veterans, they know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
It's scary, huh?
The world's a scary fucking place, man. When you start to look at things on a bigger scale and start to understand how it all actually really works, yeah.
I will say, I would agree with them letting people off earlier if they donate, if it was like a certain situation. Because, like, I love that show, the Death Row shows or whatever. And when you get into the actual crime, sometimes there really doesn't seem to be enough substantial evidence for that person to be on death row. So, like, things like that. If it's a case that should be revisited, and whatever. But other than that, it's like they obviously didn't care enough. Ooh, that reminds me of another one we should do.
Ooh, okay. And then we should move on to the next topic because we've only done 2 and we're 42 minutes in.
Yeah.
Right? What about that Buzz Aldrin, right?
See, then you guys aren't going to worry about this.
I know. I told you we got plenty of them. Sometimes we go through 8 an episode. Sometimes we go through 3.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when you pull things like, is a hot dog a sandwich or a taco? Ethical mining.
Ooh. Okay.
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing. Yeah, there's no such thing as ethical mining. So, specifically, I guess I'll more talk about it in the crystal and rock trade of the world kind of things. I don't know what other mining that's referring to. Like, I don't mine uranium or anything like that. I don't claim to know anything about that.
Rare metal mining.
Lithium.
Yeah, rare mining. Yeah, just any of that. So here's the problem. Not everything comes from America. Surprise. Some things come from other sides of the world. And unfortunately, we do not have a say in what other countries' regulations are. And most other countries do not have regulations. And so people are literally, if not close to being slave.
The CIA.
Whatsoever in
broadcast.
Oh my God, did I do it again? I was saying that these people are literally working in the mines are like slaves. They are barely working for money. They're in horrible conditions. Many of them are dying in mines every day. Like, you don't know whether you're going to come back out or in. And at the end of the day, you have beautiful countertops because of it.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like Totiwara.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called. Is it graphite? Oh, shit. I just watched a clip. Actually, it was from Joe Rogan. And they were talking about, what is that thing that goes into your smartphones? Oh,
lithium?
Lithium?
There's a shit ton of lithium.
There's a rare metal. This is what I was trying to remember when I mentioned it a second ago. I can't remember what the...
And it's like a basic name, too. You'll hear it and be like, oh, yeah, that.
Is it tungsten? Cobalt.
Cobalt.
I think it's cobalt. Yeah, I think
Cobalt plays a big part in the anodes for lithium batteries.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I think it was cobalt. We'll have to revisit when we know. I actually was going to play it, and then I was like, fuck it, and I deleted it.
I'm fairly sure it was cobalt.
But that was really sad because it was like in everyone's phone, like your Samsung, any Android, any iPhone, and how it was supposed to be like very I guess narrowed down to who can be there, and instead it is just a fucking frenzy, and these people are using their bare hands to like scrape and unearth this from the mine. That's just huge, like thousands of people running down a mine to see what they can get. It was just
where are these
really sad
mines, Bree?
Is it in India?
No. No, cobalt mines are in Africa and China.
Africa, yeah.
And guess who mines them, and guess what they go towards? Your electric cars, your fucking phones.
Yep. Tesla, Apple.
Well, Tesla Tesla stopped using cobalt in their anodes 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So they no longer use cobalt, but every other company, because Tesla makes their own batteries. So GM, Ford, all those electric trucks that you see coming out, they all use slave labor from the Congo to build your grifty ass truck that can't fucking pull anything, but you feel better because you have an electric car.
Yeah, but see, Vanessa, the problem is it's too expensive to mine it in Idaho because we have laws and regulations and have to pay people.
Yeah,
doing that.
I can guarantee you
find that video.
I can guarantee you there's not one thing in your house that you can point, like everyone has something that it was not ethically mined in their house. Like there is some version of it. Like there's no, like, and when people claim that it's ethically mined, they are liars unless it came here and it's an American something. It was absolutely not ethical in any way.
Mm-hmm. An American something. Found it.
I'm not saying that America's particularly, but if we're talking about like regulation wise and like people not dying in a mine or like not being paid what they're doing, like that doesn't happen here. And that's what they mean by ethical mining.
We're a lot better than a lot of countries are. But
pretty much what they're doing, Vanessa.
Angela Stat said diamonds. Oh,
yep. Blood diamonds. Yep.
Oh God.
Also, diamonds are not as rare as they make it out to be. And they like, they literally are like, oh my God, diamonds, they're so expensive. You guys have to have them. They're all my God. They're literally so common. It's like not even a big deal. They can make them in a lab now.
Jamie, how many?
Why would you want a lab diamond? Gross.
Jamie, how many companies control the diamond industry on the international? Oh.
2.
Weird.
Right? Okay, I'm gonna. You guys, I found it.
2, and one of them, if I say the name out loud, it could get racial, so I'm not gonna say it because then people will go all conspiracy on it. But there's 2 specific groups of people who own the diamond world.
The entire diamond world, and they control.
Does it start with the J?
Diamonds.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's where I got my diamond.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And there's a reason that you got your very nice, expensive diamond from them because that's the quality that they have. They're the ones who have it.
Hell yeah. Okay, listen, I downloaded it, you guys. This is going to feel almost like fucking S4 for a minute, okay?
Oh. Okay, let's see. Super serious science show. Super serious science show.
Super serious uninformed.
Super secret show. Super secret science show.
The secret space show.
Fucking A.
Yes.
Yeah. So crazy to see. This is the bottom of the supply chain of your iPhone, of your Tesla, of your Samsung. I mean, I'm just naming those companies. Right. It's all of them, right? All of them. And here's what you need to know, Joe, about this video. I was the first outsider to get into this mine. This is an industrial cobalt mine where there's not supposed to be one artisanal miner. Now, that's the term used for people who are just digging by hand as opposed to tractors and excavators. This mine, and I can name it, it's called Shabara. There's not supposed to be one artisanal miner here, according to the consumer-facing tech companies and EV companies buying this cobalt. Lo and behold, I walk into this place, and this is what I see. There's more than 15,000 human beings crammed into that pit.
Joe. So it was indeed cobalt, and that just sucks. It's like, yeah, we place regulations, but it is just like, oh, that's another one. It's just like animal testing. People can say, oh, we don't have anything that's all of our products aren't tested by animals. But if you track who owns the label, if they're out of China doesn't have those regulations. So it is still being tested on animals. And especially when you like go back to who owns all these different makeup brands, you could say that just your line doesn't test on animals. But when you go back to the very beginning, which is usually like L'Oreal, they do test on animals.
It's like the same thing with, so all these famous influencers you see, like Kim Kardashian and Kylie, they all use the same exact manufacturer. It's the same fucking products and things are just slightly changed and they're made in a different country.
That's because they make billions of dollars. They don't give a shit. Once you hit a certain, this is my theory. I don't know if this is based on fact at all, but I think once you hit a certain income level, you stop actually fucking caring and you start placating people and just going, well, they use these people. Well, you use the same fucking people, dipshit. There's only one place this fucking mineral comes from. Who do you think is doing this? And I think more people should see that video because that is essentially modern day slavery.
Yep.
And what's happening with it is we all benefit from it in the Western world. I'm trying to eat. We all benefited from it from the Western world, but all these so-called third world countries are the ones who are suffering. Those thousands of people are the ones who are being exposed to toxic chemicals, to like all these things. And we sit here and we say, well, we have to save the environment and move to electric cars. Okay. How are
What's
we
your hate on the electric cars? Should I just add that in?
Here's an interesting question.
I like the sound of dinosaurs burning as I drive. Go ahead, sorry.
So do I. Burn.
What is the difference between this hyperfixation on the environmental effects of the Ohio train thing, but the ambivalence towards the environmental effects of mining cobalt? That's a really weird thing.
Yeah.
Because it's out of sight, out of mind. It always goes back to that thing where if it's not in our face, we're not looking at it. But then at the same time, we have that two-edged sword where it's like America is constantly raising money to help everything other than its own people.
But here's also the thing: if we didn't outsource our materials with cheaper labor and whatnot, what we have here would be tremendously more expensive. So that's also something I think that as a country, as a peoples, we would have to really think about and decide, because I think it's easy to point the finger and just be like, this is wrong, because the company is making all this profit. But the second the company is trying to produce something, a product on a mass scale, the quality, if you want it to be somewhat good or whatever, I mean, it's going to cost more money just from being made here in America.
I'm going to tell y'all a secret. I'm going to tell y'all a secret that I learned when I worked in the automotive industry as a salesman.
Tell us. That's perfect.
So,
did you really say that on air? I thought that was like a private thing we say to each other, but okay.
So let me
now
tell
you guys know we're not PC.
Oh, they already know.
We're trying to be woke over here.
We're trying.
So,
just kidding.
Do you know? I think it was somewhere around 2004, 2008. Trucks became super popular. Really popular. Everybody had to have a truck.
Ford fucking Ranger.
I love Ford Ranger.
Everybody had to have a full-size F-150 Ram GMC, what the fuck ever. Right?
Yeah, if you ride a
Ford Raptor.
And
I would never want that.
These trucks went from a full-size truck went from a base price of around $20,000 to $40,000. The reason for that is not an increase in technology at all. Every single truck is built the exact same fucking way. It is a body-on-frame truck. Body-on-frame vehicles have existed since the Model T. There is no technological advance. It is the same shit on all of them. So what they're doing is they started adding leather to trucks. They put big screens in trucks. They put...
What is that?
So working at the dealership, I found out every single brand new truck that we sold had a profit margin between $12,000 to $14,000 for the dealer, which means the profit margin for the manufacturer is somewhere around $20,000 per vehicle, because it's a fucking scam. And they're doing the same thing with all this technology that they're trying to sell you on electric vehicles and everything else. A Ford F-150 Lightning with maxed out, which is what everybody wants, is like $80,000 for a truck that can't pull a trailer. You can't put a camper on it. You can't do truck shit with it. But you have an electric truck, which, by the way, you have to pay for the electricity for it, just like you have to pay for gas for your gas vehicle. But electricity costs more than gas does now because the world sucks. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. Rolls-Royce has, so this is one of the things that I came up with was I was like, so all these manufacturers are going to have electric vehicles. How does one electric vehicle be better than the other? And I came up with this when I was a car salesman. Like, how do I sell my electric car over your electric car, right? Rolls-Royce has an electric car. Tesla has an electric car. How is the Rolls Royce better than the Tesla?
I'd say brand.
Name.
That's what I mean. Brand, yeah.
That's
brand
it.
Name.
So now we've established that we are going to pay an extra $300,000 for a name.
Mm-hmm.
The whole system falls apart.
Because of what that massive fail from Elon Musk, the most painful thing I think I've ever watched in my life, with this freaking cyber truck and him trying, like, this isn't going to break.
Bulletproof windows, and he breaks
and
it.
Explodes. That
it's
was
ugly
the
as
worst
shit.
thing.
Well, I think, but it's important what Tony's saying, because it's like, I don't know if you guys ever remember this, but a few years ago, Payless did this thing where they set up a fake, really fancy store in New York called Payless. It was literally Payless, but like they changed like the inflection on the words or whatever, and then they sold Payless shoes for hundreds of dollars to people because they thought it was like a new fancy brand that was out there. And then at the end of it, they were like, JK, you just spent $400 on shoes that somebody could buy at Payless. And they got all these clips of people talking about like how good the quality was and how great the design was. And then at the end of the day, they were fucking Payless shoes. And it really, what it is in America, we pay because there's a statue of like power associated with these names. And so because we have them, it's important, like handbags or shoes or cars that you drive, or, you know, what kind of house you have, all those things. There's a societal, this is what it means to be successful. So when you have those things, of course they're going to be expensive because they're the best of the best. You're trying to prove to people.
Yeah, I will admit, I think I'm part of the problem.
You are. I thought about your purses immediately.
So it's something that happens, and it's not something. It's not really something we can get away from, but I think it's something we should try to get away from, because I think it would make society better as a whole if we just understood, like my F-150, I bought an F-150. I like the truck, but I don't fucking like the truck.
Placebo.
It has a solid rear axle, which is 1,000,000 years old in terms of trucks.
That's what she said.
But, you have to understand engineering and how things work. And I don't want to get too nerdy on this, but the way that everything is made and marketed towards people, like, you have to have the best fucking thing there is.
Why do you think Trump's campaign was? Because he ran it like he was selling cars, literally, make America great again. It's that same fucking idea. Literally. He took,
even though it was first said by Bill Clinton.
Oh, yeah.
It was Reagan, but
Reagan.
Oh, shit. And it goes back again.
All right. How about we pull one more topic, you guys, before we get out of here?
Oh, I was going to say
I have one clip. I know that there are aspiring meme makers out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I started making a clip today, but Buzz Aldrin.
Cheating, man. Okay, well, you can put it on your shoulder. Don't be shy.
Come with me, Buzz.
You really like it? You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief. And a thief. And a thief. A thief. A thief. A thief. A thief.
Imagine getting a solid punch like that from a man that old.
It really was. He might.
I hope that inspires.
Wait,
friends.
Do you think that he saw him the next day with the black eye and he was like, "Who put that there?"
Who put that there?
Right?
Who put that there? All right, we love you guys. We will see you actually tomorrow for our holiday stream. It'll be at 4:00 Pacific Standard Time, and then we will not see you until the week after, me and Bree.
Maybe we'll live. Maybe we'll live over the weekend.
Maybe, and then Tony and Kari will be live on Thursday to give you guys a fix.
Yeah.
It'll be like a half-hour show. We're just going to recap the last 2 weeks of Star Trek so we don't lose where we are in our.
So Kari can tell someone else besides me.
Yeah, because we don't care.
Okay,
any final?
Y'all two can fuck right off.
Is this where we're not friends anymore?
Will do.
All right, we love you guys. Find us on the internet. We'll talk to y'all later.
Where can we find you all?
You can find me at Indian Wells between the end of
You can
May
find
and the
all
first
of us
week of
at
June.
Indian Wells.
Sure.
At Contact in the Desert. That's where you can find me.
You can find me nowhere because I'm only your friend on YouTube and Discord.
Okay.
I'm not
What
your
about you,
friend.
Tony?
I'm just not your friend. You can find me at About Water, where you can just be pissed off at the shit that I fucking post because I think it's funny and I only post it to piss people off.
You can find Jamie on the corner.
Fucking edgelord.
And
you can find me on the Twitter at Fires of Truth, where I inevitably piss off everybody. Same as Tony. Tony's just like the right
Slinging
version
rock.
of me, I guess. But
yeah, the
like,
right her.
All right, deuces. Bye.
bye.
Bye.